My best friend invited me to her wedding, but forgot to give me a seat.
What's the point even of inviting you then?
Could
Where
it
are
be a
you
power
supposed to
play?
sit?
Power play?
You're
Power
just
play?
gonna stand and look down on everyone?
I smell a power play. My childhood best friend, 23 female, got married this weekend, and I was so excited to be there to support her on her big day. I'm a chocolatier.
Sick.
So the bride asked me if I could create the wedding favors and dessert table. I was ecstatic to help with the wedding and went above and beyond to create a gorgeous table that was a huge hit on the day.
She better have paid you for that.
I hope so. By the way, this comes from user Intelligent Top 5377, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit and submit them there. So I was told early on the wedding was over budget and to keep my costs low. My boyfriend was not invited. I was extremely understanding and even reduced my rates for the suite table as my present to the couple.
Okay. Was getting paid, just less than
Yes,
normal.
discount. That counts as a gift.
Discount?
A couple weeks later, after reviewing the guest list, the bride informed me that my boyfriend could come as my +1. But if he did, I would be moved from the head table. My boyfriend is a wedding photographer and is looking to build his videography portfolio. Knowing that the couple didn't have a videographer, he offered to film a professional wedding video free of charge. The bride
You guys are like the wedding power couple. They should hire you both.
The bride was ecstatic and offered to move us to the vendor table so that we could network with the other vendors. We loved the idea, and it was confirmed that we would be sitting with the vendors. The day of the wedding, we arrived 4 hours early to help with the event. My boyfriend spent the time filming, while I set up the dessert table and helped the event coordinator set the dinner tables. After the ceremony, guests were moved to the cocktail room while the original room was converted into the room for the reception. While helping convert the room, I noticed that our names were not on the seating chart. I asked the event coordinator where we would be sitting, and she said, "Good question," and left to find out. She came back to say that there was no vendor table and that if we were staying for dinner, my boyfriend and I would have to sit in a separate room as we were not on the list.
Dude, I was actually okay. Maybe there is such a thing as a vendor table, but I was like, that sounds suspicious. Like,
Yeah?
I feel like I've never heard of a vendor table.
Maybe I just trust my friends when they say they're going to put me somewhere.
Well, no,
that
I
it
would trust
exists.
them too, but I was just thinking as we were reading the story,
I
I was
just
like,
don't-
what's
yeah.
a vendor table?
Is
That wedding people, is that something that's normally there, or was this a setup from the beginning?
Maybe if your vendors are your friends, you could have a friender table.
Vendor table.
Yeah. This room was closed off from the reception, so we wouldn't and couldn't hear or see anything, let alone talk to anybody. I told the event coordinator that we were in fact guests and that we should be moved into the reception room. The event coordinator herself was seated at one of the tables in the room. I told her I was a longtime friend of the bride and even originally was meant to be seated at the head table. However, the event coordinator said she couldn't do anything about it.
What do you mean you can't do anything about it? Pull up a chair. I don't know.
Why? Come on.
Why can't you do anything about it? You're
And-
the event coordinator.
This, I see you now. I see you. The reason the event coordinator can't do anything is because she was explicitly told by the bride not to give OP or her fiance a table.
Yeah.
Or boyfriend. I'm not sure. Boyfriend, fiance. I approached the bride to explain the situation. She mentioned that it was definitely a mix-up and that we should be in the room. Okay, so there goes my conspiracy. The bride mentioned that she didn't want to undermine me as a businesswoman, so she never told the event coordinators that we were friends or that I was a guest. She left the coordination of the vendor table to the event coordinator and left it off the seating chart.
And the event coordinator freaking apparently.
Yeah, dude, what? You're bad at coordinating.
Yeah.
The event coordinator was not made aware that any of the vendors besides herself and the MC were staying for the reception and therefore didn't think to add us in. Although I understand the mix-up, the bride did nothing to get us moved into the main room. My boyfriend and I were cut off from the reception with no one to speak to, no way to see or hear, and even had to ask to be fed. What? Then
This is
wait,
ridiculous.
what's the vendor table? They just have to sit there in silence?
Yeah.
There's
Well,
no food?
I
There's no
think
nothing?
It seems like all the other vendors weren't staying, I guess, but like still incredibly weird that the bride didn't even say like, okay, let's pull. I just don't understand why you can't pull up a chair.
Yeah, like come on.
Let's just pull
let's
up a
do
chair.
let's do some improv right now, huh? Just a couple two chairs is all we need.
2 chairs.
2 more chairs. As a result, I missed the entire wedding and spent the majority of the evening crying in the bathroom waiting to move the dessert table into the main room after dinner so that we could leave. My boyfriend continued to film everything as he was committed to getting a beautiful video for his portfolio. The next morning, I emailed the bride about the experience. She apologized profusely and said she was scatterbrained on the day and didn't think to do anything about it. She feels extremely guilty and would still like to be friends. I would like to forgive her, but I'm still extremely hurt. We have some comments, and as do I. But Sophia,
Yeah.
what are you thinking over here?
I mean, I kind of believe that she didn't do it intentionally. Like, the bride didn't do it intentionally, but it's still something that you're going to have to do. I mean, she should have fixed on the day or told the event coordinator, hey, like, I don't have time to deal with this. I need you to fix this and get them in here. Like, that's all you have to say. It's not necessarily that the bride that had to, find the chairs herself, but I feel like she could have said, like,
now,
get them in here.
Big question is, was the bride made aware that the event coordinator was not helping OP and her fiance? Because it sounds like OP was like, hey, what happened? And then the bride was like, oh my God, no, that's a mix-up. Just tell her that was a
Yeah.
And then they tried, and the event coordinator was just like, no, I'm not going to help you. Did any more interaction with the bride happen after that?
That is a good question.
Was
it's
she
like,
made
hey,
aware?
The event coordinator helps 0%.
Yeah. Or did
Can
you just kind
put
of
some bad ratings?
Did you just kind of accept it, and then I think any anger or frustration you're feeling towards the bride is misdirected.
Should be on the event coordinator.
It's on the event coordinator.
Because it does seem like she's really apologetic.
Right.
So
this was not on purpose.
Honestly, it seems like the event coordinator just kind of stunk.
Yeah. Unless we find out secretly was on purpose.
Though I do think that regardless, the bride should be, doing stuff to earn that forgiveness.
But also the day of your wedding, you're pretty busy.
Yeah.
Comments. Number 1, why didn't the event coordinator fix it? It's her job. It's your job. She could have crammed you in or waited to see who didn't show up and sit you there. I'm not saying it's not the bride's fault. I'm sure if she had told the wedding coordinator that she had to find you a seat, she would have. Or she shouldn't have sat down herself. The coordinator is an employee, not a guest. OP replies, the coordinator was also a friend of the bride that I hadn't met. Ooh, so maybe the coordinator's doing a power play.
Yeah, she's like, oh, you're just a vendor. You're just a vendor. You don't get to sit down with all of the guests.
Reply, so this is a pattern then. Was there anyone working at the wedding who wasn't doing it as a favor? OP says the photographer worked for the groom's mom, so I don't think so. Did the photographer have a proper seat, or were you two the only ones that were left out? OP replies, the photographer left before dinner, so we were the only ones left out. Comment 3, be honest with the bride and tell her how you feel, that she used your friendship to get a good deal, and once she had it, she discarded you. My question to you is, why not just leave instead of sit in another room? OP said, yep, that's what I said in my email to her. I had to add the refrigerated items to the dessert table and wheel it into the room at 9:30. I didn't want to damage my business reputation by just leaving. I left as soon as the desserts were put out. Reply, no, you didn't. Once you and boyfriend found out that you weren't even on the guest list, you should have left. I wouldn't do anything for someone who thought so little of me and my boyfriend's contributions that we were shut off in another room. Again, that's so extreme. This is like a whole wedding. Yeah. There's so much going on. It's like this is
clearly clear. I mean, again, I think I agree most with the first commenter of like not saying it's not at all the bride's fault. There is fault to be placed there, but like definitely the event coordinator is the issue here.
Yeah, and especially if the event coordinator is the bride's friend, it makes sense that she'd be like, oh, well, just tell her. Yeah. Tell her this was a mistake and that you're a friend, and she'll fix it. OP replies, in the moment, I didn't want to overreact and do something I might regret. I wasn't sure if I was being overly emotional or if the situation warranted me leaving, so I tried as hard as I could to compose myself, finish what I had planned to do, and analyze what had happened after the fact. I cried more the next day than when it was happening. Reply, I respect that you held it together enough to keep up your business reputation. That must have been incredibly difficult. I'd have wanted to storm out crying for sure. And there is an update.
Let's get into it.
I really, really want there to be clarification on the amount of communication.
Yeah, I need to know what was going through the coordinator's mind. Why did she do this?
Probably just like, I can't do that. No, it's not happening. Yeah. We can't do that. After reading everyone's responses and doing some reflecting, I've come to the conclusion that she's not my friend.
Whoa.
Our relationship in the past few months has mostly consisted of her blowing me off and me interpreting it as though she was busy. Well, she was about to get married.
Planning a wedding.
She was probably pretty busy.
She was probably, again, we don't know the content. It could have been different, but she was planning a wedding.
She was planning a wedding. 2 months ago was 2 months before her wedding. Probably pretty
weddings they do tend to get pretty busy in the lead up.
Yeah.
But let's
keep going.
I'm not gonna jump.
I feel like the internet strangers might have got you here. She moved across the country 2 years ago, but flies here often. Most of the couple's friends and family still live here, which is why they decided to have their wedding here. Every time she's come to visit, we've tried to make plans, which would end with me being blown off. The excuse was always that some last-minute thing came up, which is why she didn't have time to see me. She called me months before her engagement party to let me know that I would be invited to it, but I was never actually invited.
Yeah, that's
all right.
Actually, yeah.
It's getting sus.
Yeah.
It's getting pretty sus now.
You're feeling a little vindicated here.
I responded to pictures of it online, just saying gorgeous, and she explained that I wasn't invited because her mother-in-law planned it and didn't know her friends. Moral of the story, the only time I've seen her within the past year was to do a free tasting for her wedding after she mentioned that she would not finalize her order without a tasting. We had plans to meet up the same week of the tasting, which she, again, blew off.
She's not looking good. She's not looking good.
Yeah, this is looking bad. This is looking real bad.
Looking like a bit of a theme in this lady's life.
Yeah. I reread her apologetic email and interpreted it differently the second time. The email mainly followed the structure of excuse, but that's not an excuse. In one section, she wrote that although she would still like to be friends, she understands that I may not want to, and that's fine. To me, it seemed as though she was saying she wouldn't care if we were no longer friends. At the end of the email, she added, P.S. We would still like the video, despite making it a point prior to the wedding to let my boyfriend and I know that she couldn't care less about the wedding video.
Weird.
Okay, so I'm starting to now think that maybe you being at the vendor table was a tactical move.
It seems like she just doesn't really hold your friendship in the same, to the same degree that you hold it. It seems like it's a little bit more important for you, and like the long-standing nature of it was special to you, and she's just like, I don't know, this is like an old friend, and
yeah,
I'm hiring her for a service.
Yeah, it seems like once you had service for the wedding to bring to the table is the only time that she's seen you.
Yeah.
Literally to do the tasting for
and that was it. Every other time she
services.
Was like,
yeah.
Reddit strangers may have been right about this.
They might have been right. I might have jumped to conclusions there. But this would have all been great information to have at the beginning of the story.
Yeah, if we had started with this, smooth sailing.
Although she did mention it in her email that she would make it up to me, I haven't heard a word from her since I responded back to her email naively accepting the apology the day after the wedding. I watched my boyfriend's rough edit of the wedding video this week and listened to her speech. She added a section where she thanked her friends for transcending the lines of friends and family. She called out a long list of names from the friend group and mine wasn't included, which crazy. Sealed the deal for me.
That's actually pretty crazy to not be like, and my friend OP who supplied this beautiful dessert, and come on. Especially because OP was gonna be at the head table.
Was she though?
Was she ever really?
Was she though, or was there
table?
Gonna be some other excuses? Oh my God, my second cousin twice removed on my father's side came here, and she's gonna have to take your spot.
Sorry.
Especially since I was so involved in the preparation for the wedding that she wouldn't have just forgotten my name. Moving forward, I will be a lot more cautious with my circle, and I'll definitely be more strict with doing business with friends. No more paying out of pocket. And by the way, you don't have to pay out of pocket to listen to full episodes with stories like this. You can go to iHeartRadio or Spotify or Apple Podcasts and just search OK Storytime, and there you will find more than 1,200 hours worth of stories to listen to. So I challenge you to listen to them all. We have a little more story left. Do you have anything else to add? I mean,
no, it seems like you're making the right decision for yourself. It seems like she's been has a pattern of using you for, what she needs and not actually valuing you or your friendship.
Yeah, I agree with this conclusion. I regret kind of defending the bride earlier.
Yeah, well,
but with the information we had, it was very defendable.
Yeah, based on the information, it seemed like she was apologetic, but now it seems like she's just...
Yeah.
Her apologies are surface level, very shallow.
I think so all the way back to my original theory where it was a tactical move to keep you in the other room. Yeah. She really didn't care. And she probably did talk to the event coordinator. She's like, she's gonna try. Or maybe the event coordinator was like, I mean, we could definitely seat them here. It would just like maybe throw off the vibe just 1%.
Just like, no, the vibe.
No. Oh my God, 1% vibe decrease? I can't do it. Just put her in the hallway.
She'll be fine.
Yeah, she'll be fine. She already made the desserts. What's she gonna do? Eat them all? Like,
that's so sad.
All right.
But there's a little bit left.
There's a little bit left. Let's finish it. So my boyfriend has agreed to not go out of his way to send her the video. If she asks for it, he will send a link to a shortened version on his website. I couldn't convince him to add a watermark, although that was my favorite solution. Thanks everyone for your recommendations. So we'll see if she comes around in a month or so. I will definitely not be reaching out. And that is the end of that story.